Good morning. Welcome to Tip Off. Big day on Locked On Jazz today. The PKI podcast will go up a little bit this afternoon. Then tomorrow, or actually, I guess big next 2 days, the Mythbuster podcast with Kevin Pelton will head its way onto the site. We looked at 4-year players and whether they improve. My myth is that they do not improve. If you have not caught the Kevin Pelton podcast, it's Mythbusters. We take a myth and then we talk some NBA. The first myth was whether or not every team, whether teams have different home court advantages or not. I thought this was pretty interesting because and you should listen to it because I think it has huge impact on the Jazz and how we perceive our team and some of the probably a way we have to understand who we are a little bit. You should listen to the podcast, but the basic takeaway of number one was that there are only two teams in the NBA that have a home court advantage that's different than what everybody else has. So, what basically he's saying is Atlanta, Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, Sacramento all have the same home court advantage statistically. That you get no greater advantage. On the other hand, Utah and Denver do, which might be part of the reason why we feel as though our team is so different home to road all the time because we have a larger advantage at home than other teams do. And so the discrepancy between what we look like at home compared to what we look like on the road is in fact larger than every other team out there. So then our second one had to do with whether offensive rebounding leads to bad defense. And then this one has to do with 4-year players. So interesting stuff. I'm really enjoying that. Other than how late we do it every night. But catch that. This will probably be a little bit shorter tip-off. I've got some excessive parenting duties this morning, and my throat is really sore. My little buddy actually took a pretty good fall last night skiing, so we got to keep checking the head today and make sure everything's all right. Did a bunch of research yesterday. For those of you on YouTube, you can see it. What the heck are all those dots? The research project was whether or not your primary scorer, if your primary scorer scores below average or uses a possession below average, whether or not you can still win. What's maybe relevant on that is I put a little red line in the middle of my data, is that if you look at the red line on YouTube, all of the numbers to this side are below 500. All the numbers on the other side of that line are above 500, which that top line is winning percentage. So I'll publish this at some point. We actually have a sponsor today. It's Level 9 Sports. Thank you very much to Mitch Lamb and Level 9 Sports. They have got President's Weekend is coming up, and they have got amazing deals. Level 9 Sports might be the one person who the bad snow skis and helps, because what do they usually do? For the most part, they buy huge quantity and sell it across the world to people of last year's models. Now, this year they also ventured into some of this year's models things, and they have a bunch of the 2012 deals now marked down. I know we got people in Australia and we got other people. You should check out level9sports.com. They have 2012 price reductions. I will tell you this, guys. I am on 2 sets of new skis that I got this year at Level 9 Sports, who are located in Salt Lake at 660 South, 400 West. Now, they are primarily an online company, but because we are fortunate to live here, they are here in a great warehouse at 660 South, 400 West. I will tell you this. 3 or 4 of my buddies went and got the Rosignol setup this year, and it has been an insane experience, even in a bad snow year. When we finally got to bring them out, they've been incredible. They have now just reduced the prices on all 2012 Atomic and Solomon gear. Not only can you get the latest 2012 Atomic and Solomon gear for cheaper than ever before, but they will give you free bindings, ski poles, helmet, gear bag, just even with the lowest prices of all time. That's right, free ski bindings, free ski poles, free head cone helmet. No, not cone. Chloe helmet. Just playing. Free boot bag, all there. Unbelievable. So Level 9 has amazing deals right now. Check them out. And some of the 2012 Atomic stuff is great. The Bent Chetler skis, supposedly rivals the level 9 that I'm on. That's just so awesome. They've got some great powder skis as well, so check it out. And look and see what they have. You'll be stunned. It's a great place to stop by. It's Level 9 Sports. You can check it online at level9sports.com, but the warehouse is awesome. It's 660 South, 400 West. And because they are the first ever person to ever sponsor anything on the podcast, please tell them that I sent you, and they will give you extra deals. I promise they will. Please, 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 please. All right. The NBA has gotten very, very interesting today because we're beginning to see, as we get a little closer to the All-Star game, what deals are going to be out there and who is going to be available. The first thing is obviously the Dwight Howard situation will be dealt with for the 2.5 weeks post All-Star break. It's not going to happen until then. The other one that is just either real or other teams continue to shoot at is Pau Gasol. Clearly, in the offseason, the new Jerry Buss's son, Jimmy Buss, was willing to move Pau Gasol. He's less willing to move on Andrew Bynum, and that's clearly what I think Orlando's waiting on, is to get him to move Andrew Bynum. And frankly, nothing changes with the Lakers until they stop having Kobe be the primary possession user. He's not at that point. It's not even close, by the way. If you run the numbers this year on Kobe, let me see if this is up per scoring opportunities. So shot attempt or trip to the free throw line. Just trip to the free throw line, not free throw attempts, right? You got me? So in other words, we multiply out a little bit. Kobe is using 27 scoring opportunities a game right now. The next closest in the league is LeBron at 22, Durant at 22, Carmelo at 22, Monte at 22, Kevin Love at 22, Westbrook at 21. Bargnani and Aldridge at 20, Dwayne Wade at 19, Darren at 19.5, Derrick Rose at 19.5, Blake at 19.5, and then you go into Rudy Gay's at 18. And then Al Jefferson comes in at 18 as well. Kobe is at 27. By the way, if you're wondering on Al, the only other guys of that group I just mentioned, Carmelo, Monte, Rudy Gay, and Al are all below average using a scoring opportunity. Average this year, by the way, points per scoring opportunity is 1.04. For the last 3 years, it's been 1.08 or 1.09, which tells you how much scoring. Actually, I'm going a little further. All the way down back to 2005, 2006, it's been 1.08 or higher, and it's 1.04 right now. Back to the trade rumors. So Gasol is out there. The Minnesota Timberwolves are jumping all over this, trying to do a Derek Williams for Pau Gasol deal. That would be a grandiose steal. I'm not sold on Derek Williams. I don't know what position he plays, and I've told you that before. We'll see if I'm right or wrong on this. If David Kahn can pull this off, what's not clear is whether – I think the Lakers have to do something. They're under the pressure that they have to win a championship every year. They're under that pressure from a Kobe, and they're not good enough right now. But trading Gasol for Derek Williams, they certainly don't get better. So the only thing I would understand is if maybe they're trading Bynum for Dwight Howard and then Gasol for Derek Williams and some draft picks, and then they start to rebuild this thing in some with the cornerstones of Kobe there. Chris Kaman, who was brilliant against us, is going somewhere out of New Orleans before the year is done. So that's going to be a big name as well. From a Jazz standpoint, well, what can the Jazz do? Because that's really what you care. I mean, if you just start to look at the roster and try to figure out, who they're unlikely to move any of the 4 young kids unless there's somebody out there they really like, and those I don't think those guys are available. Millsap has got back up to understand the Jazz don't have a single contract other than a rookie deal on the books for 2013, 2014. And they're not just going to take one for the sake of it. They're willing to add on there because you don't need to be that low. But it also is a case where, the Jazz would like that flexibility. The way the rules work now, you can move a player for anyone that's within $5 million of their salary for all purposes with us. For Devin, it's a little bit more. He's the one player that's maybe a little bit more than that, but not really. I mean, just so $5 million is the number now. C.J. Miles is a $3.7 million contract. The only thought there is if Orlando clears the deck and moves Dwight, you might be able to go get a J.J. Redick because he's got years left on his deal, but they might get better offers than that. Millsap, if you're willing to go there, and I don't know why you'd want to trade him. He's at 6.7 and 7.2. He's really a cornerstone piece now, just as a wonderful piece. I still think he's probably a third big for a really good team, but frankly, he's good, and his number's not outrageous. Al's at 14 and 15. I don't know if that's a movable contract without bringing back something that really is painful. Devin's at $9 million this year and 8.5 next year, and he's not playing very well. So again, maybe unless the Jazz are willing to clear somebody else's $13 million contract somewhere along the way off Devin, which the Jazz could take in, more money. They have that capability. It's hard to see where you're going to be able to move Devin. I don't know who's in such need of a point guard that's going to be their answer, and he's not bringing along anything. I mean, the only interesting one with Devin would be somehow if Portland just decides they're completely done with Raymond Felton the way he's playing, and then you take their problem. And I'm not sure Devin's a problem. He's just not playing as well. And he's playing better than people are giving him credit for. I mentioned this yesterday. We are number 2 in the league in taking care of the ball, and he's the primary guy behind that. And then, Josh Howard is a minor deal. So I guess my point here is there's just not a lot of straight up obvious things for Kevin O'Connor to do right now. Particularly, I can't see the scenario where moving Millsap makes sense, and I can't see the scenario where Al gets movable. If you're packaging one of your draft picks, but I talked to a scout this week who believes that every pick in the lottery this year is an NBA starter. And I asked him to contrast that to last year, and his comment was that last year there were probably 3. So that's Kyrie Irving, I believe Enes Kanter, and Brandon Knight and Kemba Walker are starting, but we'll see whether they maintain themselves as starters. So maybe there were 4, but the idea that right now that they believe that there's 11 or 12 sure changes what that draft is. And if the Jazz are walking toward possibly 2 draft picks in the first round, then it's hard to give one of those up. Though you don't necessarily want to have 6 guys under the age of 22, which is where the Jazz would be. But you know what? You want talent, and that's the way we're going to be able to acquire talent. And particularly with the way this roster is set up, I'm not sure how we're going to be able to acquire with trades unless you're really moving Millsap, and that's just not something I'm totally comfortable with. By the way, Golden State last night loses to Portland. So if the year ends right now, in the East, there are 5 teams now in the East that have worse records than Golden State. Cleveland is actually 6. Sacramento is 7. New Orleans is 8. Golden State is sitting at 10. And then the lottery would have to happen if they don't get one of the top 3 of the lottery. The Jazz would get that pick. They would end up with about 10 and 12, which, probably aren't 2 stars, but they are pretty nice pieces to have. So that's probably the best stuff I've got for you today. I'll quickly run over to Locke tip-off, but I need to jump and go check in on the beaten and battered little boy. Kind of a scary fall. Unfortunately, Dad saw it. Somebody's complaining I don't take enough questions on Locke tip-off. Okay, great. Sorry. You know what? We did that vocally thing. That's where going to be most of the questions come in. I like you, Locke tip-off. I just think the best part is fans' questions. You're the only giving them 1 or 2 quick minutes. I read many questions that I want to hear you answer, but you don't read 5 minutes questions. Taking would be great, I think. We appreciate everything you're doing. Well, I appreciate it. I'm trying to find a way to balance it. I don't want this to be 20 minutes. And so I will I will do the best I can for you on that. Randy Rigby said on 1320K fan that they're still waiting on Ante Tomek and they could be here next year. I don't have particularly high hopes for him. Um, I think some people probably, Chuck Nunn does a bunch of stuff. He's probably watched him more than I have. Um, I've watched him, and he's a point guard who developed into a big man's body, and that's kind of how he plays. Now, if he could really shoot it, he might be that stretch big I want, so he's your fourth big. That'd be great. Um, and um, that would be fabulous. But I'm not. He's not. I don't think. I don't have the feeling he's a game changer. How's that? Somebody wanted to know about a three-way deal and a bunch of things. That's actually how the Jazz are going to do things. That's where the other rumors are probably important because I just don't see the Jazz being able to take Harris and CJ or something of that nature and put them together in some way that anybody wants them. It's sneaking them in on the backside of the deal and pulling a piece out of some other deal that allows numbers to work. Now, that's less likely to happen under the new collective bargaining agreement because the new deal allows for more flexibility, makes it easier to trade, so there's less chance to do that than there has been in the past. Do you think we should maybe do what the Mavs did with Dirk and sit Harris down for a few games? I think I actually did that one yesterday. I think there's got to be some conversation with Devin. There's got to be a conversation with both Devin and Paul to find out what's going on and what would make them better, and see what their viewpoint is of what's happened that's caused this struggle. And I'm sure that's taking place. All right, thanks. Again, thanks to Level 9 Sports. Check them out, 660 South, 400 West. That's 660 South, 400 West. PKI podcast later today as well as Kevin Pelton. Have a good one.